I'm listening to my buddy Chris at Financial Fitness. Let me play the first 15 seconds of his latest video for you guys because he gets right to it.
Hey guys, my name's Chris and this is Financial Fitness. And there's a new bird flu going on in Israel right now. There's a bunch of dead birds on the ground and it's affecting poultry and eggs. I'm gonna read you the story. Check it out.
So, bird flu happening in Israel, right? And he gives the numbers, he read the story. It's an interesting story because it really outlines the case of where we sit, and this happened in the 1930s. And I'm not a fan of FDR. Okay, it's one of my least favorite presidents. I don't like these guys. Him, I don't like Lincoln either. I know, you can come at me, bro. But Lincoln freed slaves. No, he didn't. It's because you have a piss poor education that you even remotely think that. Read something and understand that Lincoln signed slavery legislation. Okay, so anyway, nonetheless, the bird flu happening here in Israel. The Israelites have basically consumed 200 million eggs a month or year, and it's knocked out about a tenth of their production, a little less than a tenth of their production. So it's a minor issue at this point, but it is a concern because they got about 30,000 pounds of dead birds laying around, and so there's some sort of disease killing off the birds. This is a big issue that we do all over the world, and it's sad, but we have big monoculture farms, and it's extremely, I don't want to say dangerous, because like everything's dangerous, it's not safe, and has to be more fake and more gay, but it's foolish in the way that we grow. And there's a couple documentaries I want to bring to your attention. The first one is The Biggest Little Farm. I will do my best to find good links to these things and put it in the link in the show notes here. The Biggest Little Farm. It's such a cool documentary. And they bought this old farm, 200 something acres, 220 I believe it was. Everything's dead, including the beehives. The soil's just trashed. And over 7 years, they rejuvenate this place, and they do a different type of farming. It's a new, old school way to farm. If you look at the American bison, you've got these plains, and you've got this amazing beast of an animal, and it's grazing over it, and it's only returning to that same spot maybe once a year, and it's droppings on that spot, and then the soil is taking it, and there's lots of different types of grasses, not just one type of grass, and they're just roaming the plains. The Native Americans are hunting them, and they're healthy, and then we came in, U.S. government, and wanted to kill the Native Americans. So what do? And you can see these big photographs of all the skulls of these American bison. Essentially, we kill off the bison and starve out the Native Americans. I'm gonna tell you something straight up. I don't even think you can disagree with this. The U.S. government is an abomination on society, on the entire planet, and should be abolished. Period. There's very little things that have been more evil than the United States government. It should be abolished. But nonetheless, that's what they did. That's what they did. And you look at the destruction at that point in time of the waterways and things like that, because they weren't getting grazed properly. The entire system was out of balance. And so as we farm today, we farm in a way where we have row crops, just going rows, all monoculture, 100 acres of the same corn crop or the same soy crop or whatever it may be. And then we keep our animals in pens over here. And what they're supposed to be commingled, you know, and you're supposed to commingle your grain. Like, you're not just supposed to have corn out there. You're supposed to have your peanuts, your canola, all that mixed in there, so you've got your soil building, and you're not supposed to be tilling soil, contrary to belief, and you're certainly not supposed to be spraying pesticides and herbicides and synthetic fertilizers on it. And so it's an interesting documentary to check out, because here's a couple that actually did something about it. The next one is, I believe, called Kiss the Ground or Kiss the Dirt. And it talks about these very things. But if you want to have carbon drawdown, which I think is important, you know, a lot of vehicles out here burning carbon, right? Carbon's the devil, but we're made up of carbon. You and I are carbon. But nonetheless, you want drawdown, you know how you do it? Soil. The soil is what's going to suck in that carbon, not the trees, no, the actual soil and the cover crop that's on there. But the way that we do everything these days, which is just so messed up, is we do agriculture in a way where we've got row crops here, animals over here, these things sequestered, and when you get a bird flu like that, they just roll through the whole entire place. There's no diversification, there's no decentralization, there's no co-mixing. You need pesticides because you don't have natural predators. I literally watch the ladybugs and hornets in my garden, in my food forest, come in and eat the little ants that come in, or the little nematodes that come in for my guava plants. And I just watch them eating, and I'm like, wow, everything's balanced. I don't spray anything on those things. Everything just balances out. And I've got a mix of crops planted in between. I mean, I've got like 30 different varieties of crops on like a half acre, you know, and throughout the entire place, the entire little place we got, little 6-acre parcel, like I've got stuff planted all over. I got bees and dragonflies, and I got all sorts of stuff. I'm using no pesticides. I've got chickens running around. I've got like their hen. I've got gathering that. I'm making compost. I'm putting natural fertilizers like out on the plants. I mean, it's cool. And it's the way to do it, and it's a cheaper way to do it. And you don't have to worry about fertilizer shortages or bird flus, or like, that's the way things should be done. But the reason that we do these big monocultures is the farmers are given so many incentives to plant the way that they plant. They literally get kickbacks from the government. They're literally subsidized. I mean, we're at the point where we're growing corn, and we're spraying all sorts of stuff into that corn, and we're burning it in our vehicles. I mean, it's insane. We're burning food in our vehicles, and then we've got like Roundup resistant plants. I mean, it's a mess. And the same thing happened in the Dust Bowl in the 1930s. The topsoil layer, that rich previous bison, like roaming the plains area, we went out there and we started farming it in the late 1800s, and we have so much abundance. But by the time you get to 1930s, the topsoil has been stripped away because of this monoculture. And so the first dry year, you have all the goodness of the soil, all the hundreds and hundreds of years of those bison roaming and pooping and mixing in the soil, and all the microbes and nutrients and healthy bacteria. It's just drying up and blowing off. And now you're left with nothing. And then during World War II, because everything you guys know how it goes. Virus first, depression next, war follows. And then you have a new 1950s prosperity era. We're on the same path. So the depression is coming next. But we can possibly fend off this war thing if we can fix our stuff in the depression here and get back to doing what we're supposed to be doing, which is growing our own food, you not having monocultures, letting the animals graze over. I mean, there's a lot of ways to do this. I'm going to just refer you guys to these 2 documentaries because it's really eye-opening. But if you want carbon drawdown, if we want to actually work with the libs on the carbon thing, not just reduce your footprint, but like actually have drawdown and want this world to be a better place, it literally starts in the soil. And a lot of you guys are exterior contractors in this audience, and that is the opportunity. I'm so bullish on compost, it's insane. I think the only thing I'm more bullish on is avocados because of the fall of the US dollar. But like over time, we're just not gonna be able to import avocados. They're going away. But nonetheless, I think that you guys should check it out, give it a look. I'll have a lot more out on this stuff, but it's a shame every time you see this mad cow, any of this stuff. It's just not how we're supposed to be doing things. And there's opportunity in farming right now. I mean, there really is. The average American farmer, I believe, is 57 years old. The average Japanese farmer is 63. So a big opportunity for younger guys that want to get in. You can raise money to get land and really start being part of the solution and not the problem. And as inflation continues to rip, farmers are going to do very well, because you plant this year, and especially permaculture, over the next 10, 15, I got olive trees that should last up to 400 years. You know, you're just going to keep reaping, and once you get that soil right, it's an entire ecosystem taking care of itself, and it's just super cool. So I'd encourage you guys, when you hear these stories, you hear these fertilizer stories and all that stuff, man, the solution is going back to the way that you're supposed to be doing it. You're supposed to be mixing things together, and everything's supposed to be in balance, and just everyone wants a quick bang for their buck. Everyone wants a quick solution, and that's just not the way. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for liking. Thanks for subscribing. Peace.